Hey there, hi there, ho there, hello there, and welcome back to another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, where we bring you the joy and excitement of view about women's athletics. We are slowly climbing out of the midsummer kind of dead period time for us to have things to talk about and report about, although we've been staying busy with a lot of stuff and getting closer and closer to the fall sports. It's getting their start underway. We've got a crew of three in here today. And yes, it is, as Case mentioned and I mentioned earlier, a return to the old days of the basement on the hill, the old WCHQ Frankfurt Avenue studio where Case, Jeff, and I would man the fort there with Kathy in the control room. And we had some pretty memorable broadcasts down there in those days. I was just thinking back on that. They were punking out in the lobby waiting for Jeff. It was quite a time, wasn't it, guys?
Yeah, it was fun. I have a bit of a surrogate for Pumpkin here. I'm house and dog sitting for some friends, and Corvo is their Doberman, a little bit bigger than Pumpkin was, to say the least.
About the same color though.
Uh, yeah, similar coloring. Yeah. I'm not sure where he is at the moment, so he may be upstairs. I don't know. But if you hear barking all of a sudden, it's probably him wanting to go out. So
Yeah, when I saw you had Corvo, I was worried. Were you getting medication for that?
yeah, no, it just sounds kind of like a malady, doesn't it?
It really does. So
Yeah.
how did you catch it? That's good because I know you like dogs a lot into it to begin with, but don't have one of your own there. So it's like anytime you get a chance to grab one in,
Yeah,
good
I
deal.
mean, it's good to visit. They have two dogs. The other one is at one of their parents' house, but his parents are uh, I don't want to say frail, but his mother's recovering from knee surgery. His father is a little bit frail, so 80, 90, 100 pound. I don't know how much he weighs. Doberman is maybe a bit much. So
Yeah,
yeah,
might be fun walking that. Coming
yeah.
off major surgery.
Don't really need to walk him that much. I may go out with him, walk him with him here later, but he's got a huge yard to roam in. They've got like his parents actually just live up the street, the next door neighbors basically. And between the two of them, he's basically got like 8 acres to run around in here. So yeah,
So
he's a happy dog.
he's Lord Manor of his domain, huh?
It's huge. Yeah,
Any squirrels and rabbits that enter his kingdom may be in trouble, right?
yeah, for sure.
That's Jeff McAdams. You're hearing that melodious voice there talking with us about dogs, of all things. The Louisville
Yeah.
dog team looks good this year with Corvo starting out as a rover. Also, Case Hoskins on board with us today. Case has today's article. He wrote a very nice article about the women's soccer team, some of the things that are going on. And, two fall sports, women's soccer and field hockey. Case, first of all, welcome and good morning to you, sir. How was your week?
It was good. It's a good week. Busy. Just the way it goes. Started the week. Got invited last minute last week to do a scramble with some of our equipment reps. So we did that Monday morning. Didn't envy the people that were showing up for a scramble at the same course for the afternoon because
Yeah.
it was toasty. So good luck to those folks. But that was fun, but it did kind of screw up the entire week as far as timing and just the feel of the week. So it was busy,
So
but it was good.
I like my scramble with ham and cheese.
Hash.
Honey, yeah.
What are they? What are the
You know who's
the way
got a
the way
really
you
good
order it?
scramble is Dairy Queen, believe it or not. They've got a really good scramble. And I'm not
Huh.
trying to earn any type of promotional money from them or anything here, but they have what they call these breakfast bowls.
Hmm,
And the breakfast bowls are quite good. They mix in a little bit of hash
interesting.
brown, a little bit of cheese, a little bit of ham, eggs, of course, a biscuit that's very good in this bowl. You just basically get your bowl for breakfast. I've become a fan of them, and we'll see if we can get them as a sponsor maybe for some stuff down the road here, right? Since I patronize the one here locally. But it is, we mentioned, kind of a quiet week on some things. As for me, doctor's appointments ruled the week as I went to go see a couple of doctors, and got good news, and my ticker's doing fine, and they're happy with everything that is working there and going on there. They also had to check the access in my arm, as they do occasionally for my dialysis treatments, and my arm. Basically, they scanned it out and make sure that everything's working fine and that, and all was fine there. So, two doctor's appointments, two pluses, two wins, and I'm feeling good going into this upcoming week where we should have more fun, but no doctor's appointments. Yahoo! I like that.
Yeah, it's always nice.
Yeah, because you get in there and it's maybe I'm jaundiced toward the whole thing and feel kind of, but you sit in the office and you wait. Okay, and then we're going to take you from the main outside lobby to another office, and this is the doctor's examination room where you sit and wait. And so you wait for a while, and then somebody comes in and takes your vitals. They do that, and then you sit and wait. And then you finally maybe get 5 minutes with the doctor who comes in, looks at the results, and goes, well, that looks good. Let's look at this. Well, that looks good. I think you're fine. I'll see you in 4 months. Like, what my anticipation for all this was for this? I waited an hour for this? Seriously? Please? Anyway, but I suppose they know their profession. But that's how my week was: doctor's appointments and watching fire trucks go up and down Ferndale Road. And there's been a lot of that lately. I don't know what's going on in this neighborhood, in this area right here.
Hear them in the background there, yeah.
Here comes another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is like the third one this morning. And it's been
We
all
are
week.
very near the main Fern Creek firehouse. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm right
yeah.
down the street from the EMS units and the Fern Creek Fire Department and
Yeah.
everything else. And Ferndale Road, where I live, is a main connector with like
Yeah.
South Waterston Trail and the outer loop and everything else. So
some of that's not terribly surprising, but yeah.
But it just seems like it's been more lately, and I mean more cop cars too, besides fire and EMS. Seen a lot of police presence too. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we're turning into like a hood. Which I have a hard time ever imagining Fern Creek as being part of the hood. Not when we have a hardware store right down the street. But anyway, enough on that. We're going to get into some fun today and show today. We decided we're no longer going to do any type of scheduling information. And as far as any type of X information, we decided we weren't going to do that anymore either. So we're going to pass on that. If you do want to follow us on X, we're on there. But certainly the guys will put their comments out and also on Facebook as well from time to time. The best way to find out for sure is go to the Cardinal Couple article each day that we put out there. As me and my other four wonderful writers here put out articles for you to read. And on the right hand side of the site, you can find X information on us. And you can also, of course, get caught up on, I'll be putting up shortly, the fall women's soccer and field hockey schedules, guys, so that we can find out who's playing where and when. And that'll be up in a couple days over on the right hand side of the site. Another part of the Cardinal Couple daily articles. And of course, on the daily articles that we do, it was Case Hoskins right today, as he normally has the Saturday morning right for us. And I was writing about a women's soccer player who was doing some very, very good things with the North Carolina Courage and playing in the USLW Championship. So, Case, talk to us a little bit about Matt Geigel here. What's going on with her?
Yeah. So I wrote a little bit earlier. Well, I wrote an article today. I wrote a little bit earlier this summer about some players that we knew were playing for Indy 11, for Lexington Sporting Club, for Racing Louisville, and that was kind of it. I had to dig into all those USLW teams myself. For some reason, Louisville Athletics didn't want to promote that nearly as much as they have in the past with softball and those Florida softball leagues over the summer, or baseball and the college baseball leagues. So wasn't really sure what was going on there. And then as a bit of a troll, Instagram, the Louisville Women's Soccer on Instagram posted the day after or days after to point out all the others that I missed. Um, one of those was Mackenzie Geigley. She's playing for NC Courage. She's been part of their program since she was in high school. She's from Raleigh, so right down the road. Um, and they're really good. That U23 team with NC Courage. They were undefeated in the USLW season, which is the amateur women's soccer club tournament. Happens over, or league happens over the summer. Um, Basically the Corona version of Javanon or Mockingbird for locals who might know about club soccer a little bit. I guess racing and city would be part of those clubs as well now. But yeah, they were 11-0-1, so they drew their first game and then roundly smoked everybody else. They had a goal difference of plus 50 in 12 games.
Wow.
Yeah. They were outdone on wins by one team in Florida, the Elite Soccer Academy. They went 12-0, but then they lost in the first round of the tournament. So doesn't do you much good to go 12-0 if you're going to bow out like that. But the Courage have kept winning in the playoffs, and so they're going to play in the championship. Geigley has 7 goals for them, 2 assists. She's playing averaging a little more than a half per game, and she's played in all 12 games. So yeah, she's looking to take a step forward for Louisville this season. I think we'll be trying to expand her role as a rising junior, and there's plenty of opportunity for her to do that. And it's good to see that she's getting a lot of time with a good team and contributing.
Certainly so. Somebody who has kind of exploded onto the scene here, Jeff, over the summer months, and certainly Karen Ferguson days will have to be excited to welcome that in because the Cards have only got 14 players returning from last season, plus the new ones that are coming in. But what did I think they saw here? We lost 13 or something. We lost about half the roster. It's never a good thing.
It was a lot.
Yeah,
And
just definitely a little concerning. And we've seen a fair high turnover for women's soccer for the past several years, and so I'm a little worried about what's going on there. But you can, as we've seen in so many sports, you can put a team together and have success with it if you do the right things with it and you get the good talent in. We'll see what happens. Obviously, it puts a big question mark on this season that we'll be looking into and see how it goes.
you had Eddie Chester disappear, and who was the and an interesting move, and I don't get this one. She's had the most points out of any Louisville player last year, and is going to Ball State. Uh, has anybody got a rational explanation why she would leave the ACC program to go to Ball State?
Homesickness.
Unless it's near home.
It's my only guess.
Not that far, so
no, she's from Muncie.
Well,
so that's home. Yeah,
that's my only guess. Or other things. But it obviously wasn't that she didn't like red and black. It wasn't that she didn't like playing for a team named the Cardinals.
Cardinals, yeah. The basic mascot idea.
Maybe she'll realize, whoa, how stupid was I? I thought they were the same team.
Well, there's only 9 states that have the Cardinal as their state bird. So
yeah, it's out there in several different locations. But it'd be like kind of Shoney Schimmel saying, I'm not going to go back to Louisville. I'm going to go play for Eastern Washington. I love their program, the aesthetics, and a step backwards, but certainly one that we wish her the best, obviously, and do great things at Ball State when she gets there. But still, kind of an interesting move. Taking a look at also at some of the players that did graduate out, and you guys can kind of. This is a very talented group that's gone now, where you lost Raven Alexander, Emma Hiscock, Lucy Roberts, Savina Zamborini, and also Autumn Weeks, all graduated and gone, and that's going to put a big hit on the Cards, I would think, guys.
Yeah, and it was So those are the list of. I listed kind of the players. This was from my article on Thursday. Listed players that scored or assisted. So picked up a point for Louisville, and all but 4 are gone. So those are seniors that are graduating that did that, and then we also lost Morgan Bentley and Maddie Ellsworth. Maddie Ellsworth started almost every game at right back, and Morgan Bentley was a 4-year player that has seen her minutes decline, but was still a team leader and contributor. So, when you're graduating 7, losing 12 overall, it's difficult. The big losses on the transfer side are Chester and Howard. I don't know that anybody's too concerned about Zalak and Nielsen transferring out. Zalak, I kind of feel bad for. Hasn't played competitively since high school, and her last high school season was canceled due to COVID. So she's not played a minute in college after
And this is
starting
her
at Ole
third
Miss.
college too, right? So,
Yeah, started at Ole Miss, went to Louisville. Now she's transferring again. And then Nielsen just played 45 minutes. But yeah, the losses from graduation are significant. Raven Alexander and Lucy Roberts, obviously the 2 biggest, just for the amount of contribution that they had last season. But yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Howard is also headed into Tennessee, which is not real close to Brentwood. Brentwood being more of a Nashville kind of suburb, but still in state for her.
Knoxville, yeah.
Closer to home-ish. That's why I had to throw
Yeah,
the ish in. It's about the same distance, I think, Knoxville to Nashville and Louisville to Nashville.
Yeah, about that. Yeah, it's about right.
it's a boring drive too. I'll tell you that. Now, if you ever have to take it on I-40, no, thank you. But the Cards are in a situation here where what's Karen Ferguson Days going to do with this squad, guys? Obviously, a program that's got some good players left, but still, wow, there's a lot of gaps to fill here.
There are. I'd like to see those gaps filled with the players' positions. That's my first request, is that when you've got players that you're bringing in that are very talented, coming up, and they've got specific skills, we should maximize those. We're bringing in a freshman. Trying to find it. Bringing in like a player like Avery Orgel, who is was discussed as a specialist left back with speed as an asset. We should not play her at right center midfielder. Like, you know what I mean? Like, specifically Betsy Huckabee is a player that comes to mind, who was, an attacking forward. She was in the running for Miss Soccer if she didn't win it, which I can't remember off the top of my head. She scored a lot of goals and drove offense, and then parked her next to Haley Howard at center defensive midfielder, and I don't understand that. So let's put players where they're supposed to be and see what happens. Like, if we have to change the lineup to do that and the way we structure the formation, I think that would be preferred than playing players out of position. But that's just me. I'm not a coach.
Another phenomenon that kind of hit the team this year, Jeff, and we saw goalkeepers just kind of vanish like, mongoose is going toward the woods when the hunter's out. Uh, and replacing all these outgoing goalkeepers, we have one coming in. Kind of an unproven one as well, maybe in Kaylee Kimball. I just don't. Is that a problem here? You think?
I mean, it's another question mark, right? I mean, that's the seems to be the theme here, is that there's just these question marks that we just don't know. An incoming, first year player, freshman, you just don't know what they're going to be able to do, how they're going to be able to, how they're going to adjust to the speed of the game. All these things that are, I mean, it's true across any sport, but that's what we're seeing here. and I'm hoping they do well. Obviously, it's great when you have freshmen that come in and can step up at that level of play. But you don't want to count on it. But I'm worried that we seem to be.
Yeah,
And yeah,
and just to touch on keeper again, I think Aaron Floyd really established herself as the leader on the team as far as goalkeepers, but I don't think that she established herself as in a way that wouldn't leave her open to losing the position. And so, like you mentioned, um, bringing in Kaylee Kimball, who you know was not the uh, biggest star in the show at Purdue, and then not bringing in a freshman keeper, not trying to bring in another transfer. If something happens um, and you have to go to Kimball for whatever reason, now you don't have a backup. Like now we're playing an emergency goalkeeper if something happens to her in a game as well. So having two goalkeepers on the roster is certainly a risk, and hopefully it doesn't matter. You never want it to matter, but when you have a specialty position like that, um, kind of a single point of failure situation would not be ideal. Plus, a little bit more competition always makes it um, better, I think, for the team.
and you guys maybe know a little more than this than I do, but it's talked about the closeness that has to kind of develop between the goalkeeper and the defensive backs that are directly in front of her out there, as far as being a team that's going to be good at preventing goalkeeping. But this is we were talking about scrambles earlier. This certainly sounds like a scrambled up mess here, fellas.
Yeah, you return um, two defenders out of four alongside goalkeeper, so you'll still have Carson Cherry and the relationship that she has with Aaron Floyd will be the primary. Lizzie Sexton playing back there as well, but it'll be a bit of a mystery, like you said, about what's going to happen with the rest of that. There's some players that cycled in substitutes, but as far as the back line that is usually going to start every single game, that's going to run out there together. Um, Plus, you lose Haley Howard, who played the most minutes of anybody um, as far as field players go, who was center defensive mid, um, kind of that first line of the defense. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they can develop. Um, Hopefully, they've been working outside of traditional practices to kind of build that bond.
And we will have, of course, full coverage for you at Cardinal Couple, where Jared will be on the field, we assume, taking photos when he's not at. If there happens to be any conflicts with field hockey, I think he probably is going to bow to them first and then go to soccer second. But Case, of course, will be out there either in the stands or up with me in the press box, whichever he decides to do when he can get to games, and Jeff as well. In fact, I think the last time we did a Cardinal Couple photo of the five of us was at the field, was at the
Yeah, we got
women's
everybody
soccer
out there.
field, wasn't it? Yeah.
Hmm.
And so maybe we can get that to occur again this year as well. We'll have to see what happens on that and get an updated photo. I know you all have gotten a lot better looking. As for me, I can't say.
Yeah, right. I haven't.
So we wish the best. We'll get into field hockey a little more down the road because I kind of like for Jared to be on this one. He's been watching pretty closely as well. But looking at what's going on here, I'm hoping that women's soccer can at least hit 500. It's been certainly something that they haven't been able to get recently. That's for sure. And the effect of A.G. Gibson. Let's face it. Assumption. Where does she come? First team All State, seventh region player of the year, uh, playing with Racing Louisville on a club team. 56 goals in her career at Assumption. Uh, Case, what does she do to this lineup?
You put me on the spot right after earlier today. I said, or right before we got on the show, that we shouldn't do the thing that I might, or that I alluded to in the article, and I might allude to again. But you have a true number 10. She doesn't wear a number 10. She's probably going to play the number 10. There's a chance that she would replace Addie Chester in that position immediately this season. I think she would be ready. There happens to be another Louisville native that played in the 7th region. That was first team All State. That did quite a lot.
That's done fairly well. Yeah.
So, yeah. Obviously, I'm alluding to Amina Ekic,
Yes, indeed.
who had a lifelong dream of playing for Louisville, like A.G. Gibson did. So we'll see.
Back in the States playing. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, playing for Seattle, I think.
Oh, for Olympic Rain.
That may be right. I don't remember for sure.
Yep, we'll find out.
Yeah.
But that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. What could she do for this team? A lot. What will she do for this team? I don't want to put too much responsibility in the hands of a freshman. Like Jeff mentioned, you don't want to be doing that. And I think there's other players on this team that would feel that they can step up and take that position as well. So you don't want that to just be something that is handed away lightly. When we are talking about replacing half of the team, you want everybody to come in and gel and not be off to maybe a negative start of people who feel like they've put in the time and can contribute, and a position kind of be gifted to a freshman. So if she earns it and she is playing well enough to earn it, then I'll be ecstatic. And if not, then we'll hope that she can develop. So it'll be interesting to see what she can do. And then, the other players that are coming in as freshmen are also very good. Not lifelong Louisvillians, but all state players, all conference players, all conference club players. Grace Maddox comes from Georgia. She was a defender listed on the team. She set the school record for goals scored as a freshman. So, there's a lot of freshmen coming in that can do really well, and A.G. Gibson could be one of 8. And if all 8 freshmen come in and contribute right away, then we could be talking about a very different team than maybe we're thinking about.
The actual season beginning for the kicking cards, as we like to call them from time to time, on Thursday, the August 8th, as Louisville will travel to Richmond, Kentucky. And what's in Richmond, Kentucky besides mean redneck cops? Excuse me, I didn't mean that. No, it's Eastern Kentucky University, and the Cards will be playing an exhibition against the Cardinals on Tuesday, August 8th. I got a ticket one time in Richmond, and so anyway, I don't think I'll be attending that one. Boy, don't you understand what an interstate sign means? Well, it said, 65 miles an hour. Jimi Hendrix said if 6 was 9, so I was just going a little faster than that. EKU to start it out for them, though. They'll also be taking on a Bellarmine program on the 15th of August. Should be a fun one, as Bellarmine, of course, now D1. I think it'll be a good challenge for us, honestly, at this point in time. That's out of Mark and Cindy Lynn, and you can follow that up on a Sunday game where they'll be playing UAB at Mark and Cindy Lynn Stadium as well. And to kind of close out the home stretch right there of those first 3 games, New Hampshire. New Hampshire comes to town on Thursday, August the 22nd to play. We don't have, we do have times on the New Hampshire game. That's a 7:30. Let me see if these others are listed here. The Sunday game against UAB is a 7:30 game. Bellarmine also is going to be a 7:30 game. So, yep, good opportunities for you all to get up there. Take a quick look at these, and then we'll move on to some other things. Quickly, Case, what do you think about these first three? We'll kind of let the exhibition lay by the side here because we're not going to learn much from that, obviously. But the first three at home, a nice start, if nothing else.
Yeah, they're going to be three of Louisville's best opportunities to get wins. If you're going based just on last season performance, which, like we said, Louisville's team is basically brand new, so maybe we don't base a ton on that. But it'll be fun to welcome Callie McKinney back, now the head coach at Bellarmine, after playing her 4-year career with the Cards, and then a rare Sunday evening game. Usually those are mid-afternoon, but I don't think any of the players will complain about Sunday evening in the middle of August.
Yeah.
maybe they'll avoid the required hydration breaks.
Yeah. I wouldn't count on even
No,
that.
no, probably not. But that will also be kind of a reintroduction game with Jolie St. Louis playing for UAB last season. So they'll be maybe a little amped up for that game, losing their top scorer. And then, New Hampshire, we'll see what happens. I think they were one of the teams that finished right around Louisville in the RPI. As we've talked about when the schedule came out, it's not an ideal schedule for the Cards. But if they can get off to a hot start at home with these 3 games, I think it would be very key to then hitting the road, taking on NKU and Cincinnati. Hopefully they can build some momentum, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, of course. Events are free for you at Harkin Cindy Lynn Stadium. All you have to do is just show up and watch the teams play. Looking at the WNBA as we were earlier this week on some rosters, we find that there are still 4 Cardinals. Of course, it's day to day on Liz Dixon, I guess, huh? You never really know what it.
So I looked and I could not find Liz Dixon on Phoenix's roster or any others that I looked on. So,
Because I know that she was given
know.
a 7-day back when Griner was injured a little bit, and that was earlier in the month.
Maybe they just didn't update the roster on the website.
Perhaps they didn't, but I haven't checked a recent box score of theirs to see if she's getting any playing time or getting any minutes or points.
So Phoenix Mercury, right?
Yeah, and I did not get a chance to do that, but I thought she was still on the roster. I could be wrong because they cut her and then they said, "Oh, wait a second, we're down to 10 players." That was dumb. We have to have 11 players, and then they brought her back on like the next day.
Yeah, they don't. She's not listed.
She hasn't played in a game since July 12th or July 10th. Sorry.
Okay,
so maybe she was on a 7-day then, and it ended.
But they're on their All-Star break, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they are that in the Olympics.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could be that her 7-day ended and they just haven't re-signed her because there's no reason.
Right.
If they re-signed her to a 7-day, then they'd pay her for 7 days of nothing because they aren't playing right now.
Yeah, that's a point. Yeah.
So
easiest money she's ever made for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, she's played in 18 games this season, so I would say there's a decent chance that they're going to bring her back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they had her as backup center before Griner was fully acclimated and stuff like that, and that, of course, that's obviously going to be Griner's role as long as she's healthy enough to do it. But she's always been a very capable backup, and even at Louisville, a capable backup at times where she wasn't always getting the starting job, but always kept her head up and always came in and played really hard for the Cards. I think that was noticed by the WNBA coaches. So certainly best of luck to Liz as that continues on. The Washington Mystics, they have got two ex-Cardinals on their roster. One of them that had been a Cardinal for all of her playing career, and then went to them, the incredible Mahisha Allen, who you just can't say enough about her. She's such an incredible ball player. A reserve these days, she's been in the league quite a while. I think 2017 or 18 was her first season, guys. And in a backup
Sounds
role
about
now,
right.
but certainly doing some good things and has the highest shooting percentage on the squad. And she's one of those players that could stretch that out into a 10, 15-year career, couldn't she?
Yeah, if she can stay healthy. She's had a few injuries, but is back and seems to be healthy and solid at this point. Let's hope that stays that way. I think she's still got quite a bit more time playing in the WNBA ahead of her if she wants to. So, absolutely.
Also on that Mystic squad, Emily Inksler. Inksler, of
Yep.
course, being a fourth round pick in 2022. This by the Indiana Fever, but was kind of set aside and traded out, and the Mystics got a hold of her, and she did spend a little time up in Minnesota before landing at Washington. And she also comes off the bench like Maisha and is averaging 4.7 points a game, so she's in there making a pretty nice contribution so far in her initial go around with the Mystics guys.
Call me crazy, but it wouldn't hurt for the Fever to have Emily Inksler alongside Elia Boston and Caitlin Clark, if you ask me. But that's not the way things go sometimes. So it's good to see her back with a team. It was a bit jarring when she was waived by the Fever so quickly, but good for her to be back on a team and contributing well for the Mystics. And
Yeah,
on,
and go ahead.
I was just gonna say on Maisha Hines-Allen's career path, look no further than the player who is ahead of her.
Yeah,
That has been in the league forever with Elena Deladon. So,
yeah. I
she's
think
got. I
she's
think
in
she's
the
got a lot.
twilight of her time there, but yeah,
Well, but she's
yeah,
still been there forever.
she has. She has been. She's been incredibly robust. So
Yeah, her book is almost due, I think, on Elena, but she still hangs in there and can still come out and put it up with the best of them. Unfortunately, the Washington squad just needs a lot of help. They're in sixth place in the Eastern Division. They're 6-19 at the time I wrote the article about them, or we wrote the article about them here. It's well, what does this team got to do? I mean, they've got some decent talent. It's just not coming together for them.
yeah, it's that seems to be the story on all of our cards in the pros teams this year, unfortunately. But yeah, I did want to say about Ingsler. It's since she was picked up by the Mystics, she has contributed solidly. She's been playing, anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15 minutes a game. And getting 4 to 6 to 8 points a game with a few assists in there. So like she's contributing well. She's not obviously not a star, but she's contributing well, and hopefully that will lead to a kind of a long term situation. She can grow into that.
She's a ball player that can come in and give you those kind of minutes too, and doesn't need to be a starter in order to be effective.
Yeah. Yep.
Wish her the best of luck up there, and we certainly wish Washington the best of luck in kind of turning things around, which has been kind of an unauspicious start for them this season. A franchise that could use some good things to happen to it, but it's are not happening yet. Dana Evans. We all remember Delicious Dana, a fantastic guard who played for us and is now shining brightly in the Chicago sky, as they like to say. Her fourth year in the league. Uh, a part-time starter up there right now, but certainly doing some good things for them at the point guard spot. Of course, when the debacle of her, she was originally drafted by Dallas when she came out of Louisville. was very, very unhappy down there for about a half a dozen games. And she knew she wanted to be in Chicago. The fans wanted to see her in Chicago. And Chicago finally realized it and said, hey, let's make a trade for her. What do you guys want down there in Dallas? We want Dana Evans. So she was traded to Chicago and has been doing quite well there, I think, in her time on the team. Definitely a solid contributor and one that can step in and start as needed, right?
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, she has, again, she has contributed well on a team that, again, this year is not knocking down the door to the championship quite, but they're a solid team. They're kind of mid pack, lower mid pack, I think, in the standings is what I looked at. But yeah, again, she comes out, she plays her role, she knocks down threes, she makes some great passes, some good movements with the ball. To free up some of her teammates, she's a solid role player that contributes and is undersized, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. She's playing 20 minutes a game, 20 and a half minutes per game, 7.5 points a game, 36% from the floor, 97% from the free throw line, but she's not getting to the free throw line very frequently.
Yeah, she gets there. She's money.
1.5 makes per game.
Yeah.
1.5 attempts per game.
Because when you're shooting 97%, the other team's going, I'm not fouling her.
But, positive assist turnover ratio, picking up a rebound, picking up a steal, not fouling. So, yeah, she's doing pretty well. The team, like you mentioned, it's just they're not great. They're -5 with her on the floor, but, they're not winning a ton of games. So it's not contributable to Dana Evans, I think, that they're -5 when she's on the floor. She just happens to be on the floor when they're losing.
Yeah.
They do have quite a bit of advantage, I think, to them pretty much is they do have Teresa Witherspoon as the head coach, certainly who had such an incredible playing career and somebody who knows the game inside and out, who I think is a coach that can identify very well with the players because she was a player for such a long time. And she actually told Dana something, which is something Dana and I talked about years ago. I'm not taking any credit or bragging on this or anything like this at all, but Teresa was asked about Dana. She said, Dana just needs to go out and do what she can do. Needs to go out and be Dana, and we'll be just fine with her. And I can remember walking off the court at the KFC Yum Center one night, and it was kind of a down night for Dana. She didn't really get all the things accomplished and done that she wanted to out there, and was kind of walking solitarily by herself. And I just walked right up there and I said, Dana, just go out there and be you. The rest will come. And she looked at me and she goes, I really believe it would be if I could just be me. I didn't say another word. So I don't know if there was a conflicting issue back then between her and Walls about what she wanted to do and what Walls wanted her to do. But certainly, I think that she's under a coach now that understands her, that gets her, and I think you're going to see her playing a lot more.
Let's hope so. I mean, obviously she's getting quite a bit of time anyway, but let's hope that it continues to increase and she continues to do better. Again, at 5'6", she's pretty undersized for the league just in general, but she gets a lot of attention because of that. A lot of people supporting her, and a lot of young girls supporting her and cheering for her. So that's always nice. So let's hope for the best.
And she's about 18 million times more fashionable than Caitlin Clark.
Yes. For sure.
Yeah, and Caitlin Clark has kind of become the hot and cold plate hero in the WNBA lately.
Whenever Instagram and everybody is just talking about Caitlin Clark's tunnel walks, I'm like, she looks like she's wearing a paper bag. Like, what are we doing here? So she's not got the greatest fashion sense. but which is not to say anything about her as a basketball player. I'm speaking more to the media to be like, stop looking at her. Someone find her a stylist. Do something.
Clark says certainly, I don't know. There's some very established WNBA players who obviously don't like her very much. Okay, and they will come out and say about anything they want to, but she doesn't really seem to let that bother her. She's just she can polarize different fan base.
Yeah,
There's
she
no
is.
doubt.
She's polarizing, and I don't think for any good reason. She's a good player. Yes, she's a very good player, unquestionably. You know, where it points at some of the actions she's taken and stuff like that. I'm like, she hasn't done anything outrageous. She's just out there playing. She trash talks a little bit, but good grief, so many other players trash talk so much more, and it's like, why is everybody paying so much attention to her? Other than the fact that she's, quite a good player.
We're
But
acting like Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird aren't some of like the biggest trash talkers like ever.
yeah, well, particularly Tarasi.
But that's what I'm saying. Like we're talking about,
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, she's cocky, and it's like, okay,
Yeah, this is
and
not new to the league.
is she backing it up? Like I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
But
she's
certainly you
playing
can't.
well. Set the single season assist record, right, for the
Yeah.
Fever. So
You certainly cannot complain about the results she's getting, I guess, but certainly some of the old guard of the WNBA. Not too happy to see this young pup out there playing so well in their front yard. And I say more power to her. She was a hell of a player at Iowa. And I think it would any college coach in the country would have loved to have had her on their team. I know Walls would have had a much better team if he could have had her on his squad. But that's the way it goes in the WNBA. Not everybody fits, not everybody lasts, not everybody does a great job for all the ballyhoo that Asia Dewar had, and then to get so incredibly sick and not be able to make a sufficient and great comeback. That's always a sad story that I'll always remember about going in with high hopes and getting shot down. But let's hope that nothing like that happens to Kayla Clark because she's a polarizing figure and fun for I think, the women's game. They love her in Indy. They come in from Iowa to watch her play. Obviously, they love her to
Yeah.
death.
Yeah.
New York, Los Angeles, Minnesota, maybe not as much. Maybe not as popular. She and Angel Reese won't be doing commercials together anytime soon, I have a feeling. As we get into the fall, the ACC is going to be introducing 3 new schools, guys. Think about this. 3 new schools in the ACC. We did kind of a look at one of them on Tuesday's article. SMU. SMU coming into the actual conference. Not a Pac 12 program, obviously, but a program that is coming in here that I think has got some very, very strong schools in what they do on the women's side, although they don't offer as many women's sports as a lot of the schools already in the ACC. Some of the things they're doing are pretty decent. You're not going to see a field hockey team, you're not going to see a lacrosse team, but you're certainly going to see some very, very good teams in other sports that they do offer.
it's kind of a weird fit for the ACC. I feel like because they don't have some of the programs that the ACC sponsors, and they have programs that the ACC doesn't sponsor, and so I don't know. Maybe there was somebody else. Like maybe there was another conference that I think would have been a better fit, but also all the other conferences were dealing with the dissolution of the Pac-12, and SMU was not amongst their top picks. But the Big 12 was right there. I don't get it, but oh well.
Jeff, they actually won the AAC volleyball crown championship last year with a 26-7 record and 18-1 in the AAC, dropping out second round to Texas, if I remember correctly. So certainly
Yeah,
a program that could challenge the Cards.
Yeah, I mean, no shame to lose it to Texas. Certainly, plenty of good teams have done that. Excuse me. Um, I, winning the excuse me, I had a coughing fit a second ago. Winning the AAC is good. It's one of those. It's really kind of a mid-major conference in volleyball. It's solid, but you're not gonna. I, I I don't think they're gonna come in and be a threat too much to Louisville, Pittsburgh, Georgia Tech, you know, level teams. Um,
It could be an annoyance.
it could be an annoyance. We've been in a series of matches that early in the season each year for the past several years against like Northern Kentucky, right? We beat Northern Kentucky pretty routinely, but man, they can be frustrating to play because they're such a scrappy team that gets the ball up. And if that's the style of play they play, I've not seen SMU play, so I don't know that much about them honestly. But if they play like that, they can be a really good preparation, even if we're beating them, because they have that intense, that scramble mentality. If they do like Northern Kentucky, you're really challenged to play against. So
It's definitely a different team type than in the ACC for the most
yeah,
part. And I think
right,
something else that's interesting about them is that they're not going to challenge for the conference championship, especially since there's another player uh, getting into that mix that's joining as well. But
yeah, indeed,
they do have, I think, the capability to impact the conference championship. Um, they could sneak one off of Georgia Tech or off of Pittsburgh or off of Louisville,
it's possible. Yeah, absolutely.
and that can be a game where you're like, well, you're playing another tournament team. Um, would they have been an at-large if they didn't win the AAC? I don't know, maybe. But you're playing a team that has the ability to beat somebody on a given night, and um, there's not there's some teams in the ACC you can't really say that about. Uh, and this SMU squad is not joining that tier of teams. They're in that mid pack that
Yeah,
if you find them on the wrong day and you find yourself down 2-0 or 2-1, you could be
yeah, could be a
fighting a
real
bit.
challenge. Yeah, absolutely.
Another area where they could possibly make some inroads, and certainly a team that the Louisville women's soccer won't be anxious to go up against is in soccer. They were 11-6-1 last year, made it to the AAC, excuse me, that's two A's AAC title game, and unfortunately weren't included though in the NCAA tournament, which is kind of interesting to me that they did not get that nod and that bid, having gone so far in conference and also having a way over 500 record. It sounds like a team in soccer case that could challenge the Cards and some of our other teams.
Well, not this season. Because we're not gonna play them. Um, trying to figure out if there have there been any announcements about the ACC women's soccer tournament and its expansion. If we're going to have 18 teams and they still only put
6.
6 in the tournament,
Yeah.
it's just absolutely absurd. Yeah, I mean, we won't face SMU this year because I don't think we're going to make the tournament even if they expanded it to 10. But maybe we could. So yeah, in the future, sure, they're going to be a team that is an annoyance for the Cards. Just because it's one of those teams that, like some of the others, get more outdoor time year round. We see that issue in softball and baseball with our ACC foes. All three of the teams that are getting added are going to be in those sports. They're going to be those fair weather locales, and so SMU is going to be another one of those that just gets to be outside all the time, and that makes a difference. So they could make some noise in the ACC, but also it's one of the best conferences in women's soccer, and I think became even better. I know it became even better with the addition of Stanford. So yeah, it's going to be a tough a tough hill to climb for SMU in ACC women's soccer, and they can uh, join the rest of us, like Louisville, playing King of the Hill and getting kicked down by the fifth graders. So
Yeah, a good
Sounds like
description.
a story there.
not me, not me. Maybe I was fifth
Yeah.
grader. I don't know.
I like it. Like we mentioned, no field hockey, no lacrosse there, so no worries with those two. And I did want to touch maybe just quickly before we get into final thoughts on our other fall sport that we'll be following very closely here at Cardinal Couple. Field hockey. Yes, indeed. As the Cards actually had a total of 8 players most recently go play in a very prestigious tournament. Coming back in, the Cards will get their field hockey season started in late August. A couple preseason matchups. Uh, Bellarmine, and they're still keeping that as a scrimmage. Uh, would kind of interest me that they're D1 now, but we still list them as a scrimmage squad. And then also Indiana, a road game scrimmage. Guys, is this bizarre world here or what? I mean, field hockey seems to uh, show some interesting scrimmages here against teams we would normally be playing in the regular season.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a matter of maximum number of games or
Yeah. Or they just didn't happen to end up on the schedule this season, so let's make it an exhibition. I don't know. There would have to be questions to other people that aren't on this call.
who would probably know, Jared.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. He would have a little more insight into it all. We will endeavor to get in and talk to Justine Sowry preseason if we can. Get a little word in with her. We still haven't received any information yet on when they're going to do the Fall Sports Media Day. They do those twice a year. Cases attended those before. I've been to those before. It'll be interesting to see when they do it this fall for them and who all they invite to it. Uh, Other than that, I think that one of the things field hockey's got to be very, very excited about is that they are actually bringing back a very, very strong roster and hasn't lost very much at all, guys. Uh, Justine Sowry is certainly one that's a contender to get to the Final Four anytime she steps out on the field with her squad. This year, they're actually returning 16 letter winners from last season.
That's impressive.
All Americans, Mia Duchars and Amy Plum. Those Plum sisters, well, they're plum perfect, to use a colloquialism. They're very, very good players, and don't call the little sister little.
She's taller, right? I'm looking at the roster.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
the
is
mutant
About,
of the two.
about 4 inches taller according to the roster, and it might be
Yeah.
more if they're giving Amy a little bit of tape love on
Yeah.
on the roster there.
Both delightful to talk to. If you ever get a chance to talk with them, certainly do so. Very good interviews. But last year for Sowry's bunch, 15-7, made the NCAA tournament for their 5th consecutive trip. Getting to the quarterfinals for the 3rd year in the last 5 years. We're 3-3 in ACC play, but certainly some things to improve there. We ended up number 10 in the final coaches poll. So we are a top 10 team coming into this season. I think this is a team that could possibly even do better than that. Sowry obviously has got some talent there, and just your guys' thought on what they could throw at us this season.
I think anytime you're looking at a Sowry team, you gotta think there's the potential for deep runs. Well, as deep as you can get in a 18 team NCAA tournament, but
It's only a few games.
Yeah, I know, right? There's only a couple, a few games there, not many, but there's always that potential for that, and has been for quite some time, and continues that level of play in the program. It's one of the things I really love about that program is that it is so consistent. It's not just a flash in the pan. It is a consistent level of play that is really exciting.
And so we will hope for the best for them. Certainly always fun to go watch them play, and even funner to talk to them post game. Sometimes with some of the stuff that they come up with. Last but not least, before we get into our final thoughts here, Jeff, let's touch just briefly on Danny Busboom Kelly, who recently previewed the AVCA first serve for the media. She and Craig Skinner talking a little bit about that. Just kind of give us some of the details there.
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole press conference, but yeah, Danny Busboom Kelly, DBK, along with Craig Skinner, who's the head coach at Kentucky. Obviously, the two local-ish coaches that are involved in this. Wisconsin and Nebraska would have to travel a little further to be involved. But previewing the AVCA preseason first serve event that they're having at the KFCM Center. This is an event that they've done at least the past couple of years as a kind of a bookend to the Final Four. Last year it was in Tampa at Charlotte O'Malley Arena where the Final Four was there. This year we have the Final Four at the KFC Center, so they just kind of do this as kind of a bookend event. It's really kind of cool, a lot of fun. Gives a few teams a preview of what the arena feels like. Of course, UofL has had that some. Kentucky has played there once or twice, so well, more than once or twice, but once or twice in recent years. So I'm sure Nebraska and Wisconsin are loving it, licking their lips at chomping at the bit, trying to get to the Final Four and have the experience in the arena that it's going to be played in. So, they talked about it. They talked about volleyball in the area and how supportive it is, and how the city is supportive of volleyball, and supported by the idea that, when Kentucky came in here last year, we had over almost 13,000 people here. I would expect more than that for this event. So should be exciting. Should be a lot of fun.
Certainly one that we'll want to keep a close eye on and attend. If you can get to it, we'll try to give you full media coverage on that, as well as Jeff, of course, being up in the stands, watching each match devoutly with an eagle eye for the action there. That's going to kind of bring us to the end of today's broadcast. We've had a fun one, covered a lot of things with you all, really, when you kind of look back at it. So we'll move into some final thoughts here, and then be on our merry way for the rest of the weekend. Case, you want to start us out this week? Final thoughts?
Sure. You alluded to the field hockey Nexus Championships. One of the players for Louisville that didn't participate in that but was an alum of that event was Izzy Bianco. And she did not play in that because she is already in the Team USA pipeline. She played at the Junior Pan American Championships a couple of weeks ago, or over the last couple of weeks, with the U21 team, where they won the silver medal. They were undefeated in the tournament, except for the two times that they played Argentina. Argentina, number 2 in the world in field hockey. Not sure if one of our other favorite players was on that team.
We had a very, very good player from Morelos Aires, if you'll remember correctly.
Yeah.
The name of Mercedes Pastor.
Yeah. They don't mention her in this article, so I don't know if she's on that team or not. She's also, actually, she might not be U21 anymore, so that would probably
not. Yeah, I would assume she's beyond that.
Yeah. They can't stay 21 forever.
Probably on the senior team. But yeah, Izzy was on that team. They lost to Argentina in their 4th pool match, 3-0. Got a rematch against them in the finals and fell 3-1. So a little bit better, but unfortunately couldn't make it happen. Did pick up wins over 23 in the world Uruguay, 16 in the world Chile, 15 in the world Canada. They beat Chile twice, actually. So a good event for them. And that silver medal qualifies them for the Junior World Cup next year.
Indeed, we do wish her the best of luck on all that. Jeff, what you got for me?
Yeah, not a whole lot. I will point out, volleyball had announced that they have new floors to play on, both at Allen Federal Credit Union Arena and down at the KFC Yum Center. And they posted this week pictures on social media of those floors as installed. Man, they look good. They did, as Case mentioned, I think in the article, they did go with the center logo with kind of like the angry dunking cardinal sort of look
It's the
logo.
retro
So
card, the walking card.
yeah, retro,
Yeah.
yeah, sure. And so that's where it'll be. The one at, let me remember correctly, the one at the L&N Federal Credit Union has a black border on the outside, which I think looks really cool.
It does.
And
Sorry, go
the
ahead.
one down at the KFC Yum Center has a red border around the outside. So otherwise, the same basic floor.
I kind of feel like they chose backwards. It's gonna the black border in Cardinal Arena is just gonna make it feel, even tighter and smaller. I think
Well,
that
maybe that's the point, though.
maybe if that's what they're going for, they're gonna get it because that is gonna
Yeah,
reduce the size, like the feel of this, because it's gonna blend right into the stands.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean they look really good. The pictures are on Instagram if anybody wants to look them up, and Twitter probably.
The wonderful things for the program. Certainly offers a new floor to play on is always a benefit. And it will work to Louisville's advantage, I'm sure, in matches to come. As for me, I'm just very, very proud of a Cardinal women's basketball player who has been playing in a little tournament with Coach Jeff Walls as of recent. That's we're talking about Ela Fiston Boogaloo, who has been doing some wonderful things over there on the front line in this tournament for the Turkish team that Walls was an assistant coach on. Uh, and I wonder if Walls learned much Turkish while he was over there. But certainly one of the bright stars, I think, coming back into the basketball program next year will be her emergence as a sophomore. She was certainly a pleasant surprise when she came over here as a freshman. Showed certainly a lot of ability to go out and rebound and score. Had a couple double doubles in the mix out there as a freshman. And with the experience that she's gained with Turkey this summer, and playing with a very, very strong group of players on the U20 team that the Turkish national team has, and also with the good coaching that she had with Walls and others on that squad. I look forward to see what she can do this late fall and early winter and spring with the Louisville women's basketball team, guys. Thinking that she's going to be able to jump in there and join, of course, Nyla Harris, obviously, and then Olivia Cochran as a front line strength for Louisville. And just think about those three coming out for you starting each game. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
hopefully
does
a big
sound
step
awfully
forward
good.
for her. Yeah,
It
that'd be
does
awesome.
sound awfully good. But
Yeah,
certainly she has been a leader on this Turkish team. Probably won't need to be a leader at Louisville, but it wouldn't certainly hurt to have her out there quite a few minutes doing the things that she can do because she can shoot it and she can definitely go in and get the rebound, and she's not afraid of anybody. And if you don't believe me, you try to score on her. Not an easy assignment, as they're finding out in the European leagues right now. The best of luck to her, and obviously the best of luck to you all the rest of this weekend. Have a good one of it. You're getting a little bit of break, maybe in humidity, temperature wise, but certainly enjoy it. Make the best of your time, and we'll catch you next week for another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast. Everybody have a great weekend.